Top of the hour on this Friday. Thank you for joining us. And we begin with some breaking news in President-elect Trump's legal battles. The judge presiding over the hush money case has now ordered the sentencing stayed, pending motions to dismiss the case by his legal team. That means that Trump will not be sentenced on November 26th as previously scheduled. Judge Juan Merchan has set a December 2nd deadline for Trump's defense team to file a motion and a December 9th deadline for then prosecutors to respond. Trial attorney John Fishwick is with us, also the former U.S. attorney for the Western District of Virginia. Explain to us what this stay means. I'm guessing not a surprise.
Marni, it's not a surprise. So the Trump legal team had moved to postpone the sentencing, a stay of those proceedings, several weeks back because former President Trump is now President-elect Trump. And even the Bragg legal team said that they agreed that for the moment they should postpone those sentencing proceedings. But the judge is the boss of the courtroom, and today he signed off on that in order that the sentencing, which was in fact set for this coming Tuesday, November 26th, is now postponed, I think, somewhat indefinitely. I do not see former President Trump being sentenced on this case anytime now in January 20th. So the sentencing is officially postponed.
But his defense team does have some paperwork to file. So what will be happening between now and early December?
Well, that paperwork, I think, is very significant. The Trump legal team is saying two things. One, he's been elected now president-elect. He's going to be the president. If he's president, you can't bring any criminal cases against him. The fact that he's president-elect, we should treat him the same way. After all, he's putting together a cabinet beginning the transition process. So this case should be dismissed. You can't prosecute him. In addition, he also has immunity. Some evidence was admitted in the case that tainted this verdict, so that's another reason to throw it out. And so I think what the Bragg legal team is going to say, hey, we want to put this case on hold. We want to hold this over President Trump's head for 4 years, and let's come back to it once he's done with being the presidency. And so I think Merchan, the judge, is going to have to decide, does he dismiss this case or does he put it on hold for the next 4 years?
And what does that argument from prosecutors look like when they respond?
Well, I think what the prosecutors will say is, we got a verdict last May. It's an important case. I know he's the president, but no man or woman is above the law, so we shouldn't toss this case. We got a verdict. Let's just come back to it when his presidency's over. We agree we can't do anything while he's president, but we want to keep this case on the docket. And so when he is done with his presidency, we can still deal with it and hopefully try to get a sentencing. That's what they hope for.
What about the charges themselves, John? I mean, this might be minor. Trump might not care about this at all, but not being sentenced, but do the charges then just evaporate? I mean, it's not like something, here's my resume, and by the way, here's these 34 counts.
Yeah, I don't think they go away. What the prosecution hopes to have is it's still pending. They don't want to dismiss it. They want to have this hanging over President Trump's head while he's president this second time to say, hey, we're going to get to you when your presidency's over. I don't think that's a little thing. I think having it on pause would really be a significant interference with the president of the United States. I think the right decision, and that ultimately some judge is going to do, the hush money cases are going to get dismissed. The verdicts are going to get thrown out and the case is going to be dismissed. If Merchan chooses to keep this thing on hold, some appeals court or some federal court or the United States Supreme Court says, you got to dismiss this case. He's a sitting president. You can't leave it hanging over his head.
Do you think it gets to that point, that it goes as high as the Supreme Court?
It's possible. I think absolutely, because these immunity issues and this question of whether a president can be prosecuted while in office, we all kind of agree to that, but there's not much law on it, Marni. And so I think it's possible that it does get all the way to the United States Supreme Court. But ultimately, the case is at a minimum going to be on hold. He's not going to be sentenced. But the question I think that is going to remain open is, can the case be paused and still be pending against him and then come back in 2029, or is it going to be completely tossed before he starts his new term January 20th?
Yeah, well, at least in this moment, Trump's legal team saying this is a decisive win for President-elect Trump. John Fishwick, as always, I appreciate you stopping by. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Go to NewsNationNow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.